Good morning, good afternoon, regardless of where you are. It's always a great time to study the gospel, enlightened by Spiritism. Our conversation today is brought to you by Kardec Radio. Kardec Radio offers discussions like this one in different platforms, in different social media platforms, including their own app where you can get access to podcasts like similar podcasts like transmissions. Today's topic is again from our Daily Bread, and it's chapter 30, and it's called Conventions. Before we delve into that topic, let's take this opportunity to close our eyes and connect with God, connect with our spiritual benefactors. Thank you, God, for the opportunity for us to be here and to have this conversation, open our minds and our hearts, and our eyes as well, so we can assimilate all the lessons that life provides to us. So many of those lessons come to us through any kind of reading, lectures that we watch, advices that we hear. However, they also come to us through our own experiences. A lot of them joyful, a lot of them not so pleasant, but all of them very constructive for us. So keep our hearts and our minds open to all of those teachings. May your peace be with us. May we have a good presentation today. So be it. Thank you. So again, today's conversation is based on chapter 30th of the book Our Daily Bread, which is related to Mark chapter 2, verse 27, which reads like this. Then he said to them, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So to make a long story short, the Sabbath, it was the seventh day of the week, in this case, the Saturday, and it was designated as a day of rest. However, for the Jews at the time, it had become, instead of being a day of relaxation and joy, it actually became another day of rituals because during the Sabbath, you were not supposed to do anything at all. So instead of being just this day of worship and day to connection, day of rest and connection with God, became again another opportunity for the authorities to impose even more restrictions. So basically, you could not do any kind of work, any kind of exertion, and during the Sabbath. And it so happened that the disciples, Jesus's disciples, were hungry on the Sabbath, and they harvested some ears of corn and plucked the kernels from those ears of corn. And for that, basically they were criticized. So that's when Jesus explained to us that the Sabbath was made for the man and not meant for the Sabbath. So in other words, the conventions, everything in the world is generated for us. There's a purpose, but we should never be enslaved to those. Emmanuel explains here to us that in this evangelical passage, Saturday symbolizes the organized conventions for the service of mankind. Wherever we go, there's a convention. Wherever you go, there is some kind of governing body. There are rules. Those rules, of course, they're rules of man. Of course, they are the rules of God. They're all over the universe, but also for some localities, there are some rules that are restricted by place. So there are rules that that everybody has to abide to, and those are the conventions. But these conventions, a lot of times we're so attached to them, and Emmanuel explains here that for these conventions, there are individuals that sacrifice all possibilities for spiritual elevation. So it's not uncommon for individuals to be so connected to the conventions. They are so blindsided by the practices, and of course, physical material practices that they cannot see beyond. They cannot understand that there are other opportunities, and especially opportunities of service that go just beyond those systems, that just go beyond those rituals. So again, Jesus was warning all of us, of course, the folks at the time, but again, applies to us as well. Emmanuel has an analogy here that says just as certain public service employees postpone indefinitely certain providences of interest to all by virtue of absence of minor stamp, there are persons that, because of trifles, abandon great opportunities of uniting with the superior spheres. So, and again, Emmanuel is alluding here to bureaucracy. And just, yeah, unfortunately, there's still a lot of red tape wherever you go in the world. Of course, we're transmitting from the US. So, of course, in the US, there's a lot of red tape. But there's a lot of red tape in any part of the world that you go to. And that there's in less advanced worlds like ours throughout the universe, I'm pretty sure there's some kind of bureaucracy, regardless of where you are. So, and even though those systems they have a purpose. There's even bureaucracy. There's a reason for that. But a lot of times you might encounter situations like this in which a public servant or a civic servant does not conduct his or her duties, or does not do something that is in the benefit to everybody else, just because they missed sometimes, just because somebody's stamp is missing, just because a formality is missing. So, but this is an analogy. And again, so what Emmanuel is emphasizing to us here is not to get so caught up in the formalities, not to get so caught up in the rituals that we forget the true purpose for us here. What is it that we can actually do for others? And a lot of times also, do not let those situations become impediments for going above the call. So a lot of times, we have it as humans, we have a tendency to procrastinate and to look for excuses not to take some particular action. So it might be that, for instance, there is a homeless individual at my doorstep, and I might be concerned about helping that individual, just fear of how the public conventions, what are they going to say about me, for me to be helping that individual. Some people are going to say, hey, you're contributing to a social issue. And some people might criticize me, criticize somebody for helping a homeless person to be mingled with someone who is in that situation. So I'm just giving an example. So a lot of times we might be tied up to social conventions and what people might think as well, right? Unfortunately, that's how we are. Good news, human beings are social beings. But the bad news is that at our level of development, we are still really concerned about what others might say, and in what situation we might end up. And again, just going beyond the call and just helping somebody, just doing something that is right, but by social conventions might be criticized. Emmanuel further clarifies here that no one ignores the usefulness of convention. If they were totally useless, the Father would not permit their existence in the scheme of things. So, yeah, everything, even conventions, they have an importance. Even those rules in society, either those ones that are written or the ones that are not written, they have their purpose, and they keep us in check. So, and again, going back to the analogy about bureaucracy can be a detriment for us. I'm talking about material again. This is an analogy, right? So I'm talking in terms of material aspect of it. But again, they kind of help. They still help keep things in line. Not so much efficiently, so much things running efficiently, but at least keep them in line in society. So again, conventions, they do play an important role. Emmanuel continues here to further clarify the point that they are tables that assist in classifying the efforts of each one of us. schedules that regulate the allotted time to this or that matter. Correct. So I mean, they're like tables. They're like in this case here, Emmanuel is using again the analogy of a table, of a reference table, of a guide for us to they classify some of the efforts in our daily lives. So schedules, like Emmanuel indicates here, and they regulate a lot of the things that we do, and they do have a purpose. Again, we are not perfect. We are far too far from perfection. So those conventions, those rules that we have in society, or in a particular group that we are in, they do still serve a purpose. That's why God allowed those to be part of our earthly experience. However, Emmanuel here continues his explanation, indicating that, however, transforming their use in conflicting precepts or in an obstacle that cannot be transposed constitute a grave danger to the common tranquility. So again, if we use those right in conflicting precepts or an obstacle, so again, we should follow the earthly conventions, societal conventions. We should follow those, but we should never allow those to become an obstacle for our growth. Because again, and in many of the case here, because they become a grave danger to common tranquility. Because if we're all so stressed out about this or that norm, then where is our peace of mind? Where is it the peace in our hearts? When is it that we are going to decide? Uh, when is it that we're going to stop doing what's right or doing good to others just because of some convention? Or in that case, even doing good to ourselves. And by that, I'm not referring selfish ways. I'm referring on a spiritual way, helping us spiritually, just because, again, there's some kind of obstacle that we are accepting. There is a hindrance that is that we allowed the the social rules to impose to us, and those again become an impediment for us to doing what's right, for us to helping others, for us to do charity, for us to be more patient, for us to be more harmonious, for us to have more empathy. So in other words, to allow us to bring the best that is in us. So we should never allow any kind of societal rule to keep us from doing what's right. And Emmanuel here alerts us that the majority of people respect them prior to their own obedience to God, which is sad, right? A lot of people are so concerned about the social norms that they forget the precepts that God has shown us, and the gospel, and the moral laws that God has instituted in the whole universe. So a lot of people are so concerned about those that they go against the will of God, or should I even say they go against the laws of God. And here Emmanuel writes that, nevertheless, the Almighty designated all the organizations in life to be for the purpose of aiding in the involvement and perfection of His children. So again, those rules, and again, those either written rules of the system, of the societal system that we live in, either the ones that are written or unwritten, they do have a purpose. Again, they aid us, right? They keep us in check, but should keep us in check in a way that they help us to evolve and perfect. So again, we should take those. We should take a different perspective. So those are not the rules for our spiritual development. Those help us stay in line also, and we should take that opportunity to follow the teachings of Jesus, so that we can progress, so that we can become a better version of ourselves. And going back to the danger, to the common tranquility. So that's what we should take the opportunity for that, to use even those rules of society to uh, again to provide what is the best of us, so that we are not, we're not stressed about those. On the contrary, we're seeing those as opportunities to stay balanced, to stay on the right course, and of course use those to provide the best of ourselves to society, and through whatever segment that's to society that we are in contact with. And we see here that Emmanuel continues his explanation, indicating that the planet itself was created because of mankind. So the whole place was created for us, for our development. That's why we're here. And the planet, not only that, but the planet continues to evolve. We continue to evolve physically, we continue to evolve intellectually and morally as well. And that's why God created this place called Earth for us, and some other orbs all over the universe for us to reincarnate and to grow. And Emmanuel finalizes here, well, almost finalized here, indicating that if the Creator went to such extreme lengths on behalf of His children, why do we resist in satisfying the divine designs while attaching ourselves to the inferior preoccupations of earthly activity? So let me just read this paragraph again, or I should say this sentence again. If the Creator went to such extreme lengths on behalf of His children, and it's not just the Creator, those extreme lengths, they do not just include the creation of our planet, but they also go beyond and the establishment of the whole universe. And it's for all of us, all His children in the whole universe, because humankind is not just here on earth. Humankind is actually our brethren throughout the universe. So if God went out of His way to create this place, so again, why do we resist in satisfying the divine designs while attaching ourselves to the inferior preoccupations of earthly activities? And again, so if God has all this place for us, if there is this master plan for us, this great design, so why should we be wasting time with petty matters, and which are actually inferior preoccupations here of earthly activities? So why should we be thinking about those small peculiarities when we could actually stay focused on our goal, and is to evolve, and it should be, instead of again being looking down on earth and on those small matters, small earthly matters, small earthly issues, small earthly preoccupations. We should actually lift our eyes and focus on the universe and all the opportunities that we are being presented to us for our growth. To finalize here, Emmanuel indicates that conventions can define, catalog, specify, and enumerate, but they should not tyrannize the existence. Again, those conventions, they define actions, they define some procedures, they catalog, they list some of those actions, they specify what those actions are, they enumerate. So again, they provide a guideline for us, but they should not tyrannize our existence. We should not forget about our connection with God just to stay in check with earthly conventions. And to finalize here, Emmanuel indicates to us, remember, they were put in your path to be of assistance to you. Respect them in a constructive, justified way. Respect them in a constructive, justifiable way, but do not convert them into a self. And again, those conventions that define, catalog, specify, enumerate specific courses of action, specific attitudes, specific mindsets, those have a reason to be. And even though they're earthly, even though they're associated with material matters, They have a reason for us, and they help us. And again, they help us stay balanced. They help us stay in check as we interact with our brothers and sisters in society. Yeah, and therefore we have to respect them. I mean, there is a again, we have to pay attention to them, but we should not convert them into a cell. We should not convert them into a prison. We should not convert them. We should not put ourselves in a situation in which we are so restricted by them that our ability to use our free will is compromised. And again, I'm not saying our free will, because our free will is never compromised. We have the free will regardless. However, we should not put ourselves in a situation in which we do not make full use of our free will, and especially to put them in use to help ourselves evolve and to help all of those around us. All right, that was chapter 30th of the book Our Daily Bread. Thank you very much for tuning in. And if you'd like this presentation, make sure you click the little like button. If you would, now also you can leave any comments that you want. I will respond to your comments. And click the little bell button so you get notifications of this type of content or any other similar content that you might enjoy through Kardec Radio. So at this time, let's close our eyes and thank the Lord for all the opportunities that the universe is providing to us. Might we fulfill our roles of spirits and also of reincarnate spirits here on earth. But we should never forget our true home. We should never forget that our true reality is not here, is not palpable. We are so much more. We are immortal souls that have so much to learn and so much to contribute to the universe. God give us wisdom in our moments of choice, give us strength in our decisions so we can follow the path of righteousness, and give us wisdom and patience as we interact with our brothers and sisters, both incarnate and disincarnate, here on planet Earth. So be it.